The recent emergence of both RCS messaging and generative AI offers endless ways to make texting your customers more interactive and customizable. In this video, we're going to demo a Node.js app that fetches the weather in a given city, generates a descriptive image using Google's Gemini and Imagen models, and sends the image as well as weather details as a rich card via RCS using Vonage's Messages API. Amanda Cavallaro, who's a fellow developer advocate here at Vonage, put together a really cool tutorial on how to do all this, and in this video, we're going to run the code ourselves. Her blog posts, as well as the code mentioned in this video, are linked in the description below. Let's get started. To start, you'll need a Vonage developer account so that you can access the Vonage API dashboard. If you don't have one yet, the sign-up link is in the description. You'll also need a device that can receive RCS messages, as well as a registered RCS business messaging agent. To get an agent linked to your account, contact Vonage support or your account manager to enable developer mode and add allow listed phone numbers. Once linked, your agent will appear under external accounts in the Vonage dashboard. The last thing you'll need to do in the API dashboard is to create an application to run this code. Creating an application provides you with an application ID and private key, which is needed to hit any Vonage APIs. Go to the side menu and click Applications, and then click Create New Application. Here we'll want to give the application a name and generate a public and private key. The private key will automatically download. Finally, click Generate New Application. You'll be led to the homepage of your new application, where you can do things like edit the information, as well as quickly access some information like your application ID. In addition to the Vonage account, you'll also need a Google AI Studio account to access their image generation models. With an account, you'll be able to create an API key to use for this demo. When creating an API key with Google, make sure your key is connected to a project that is associated with a billing account. Next, you'll need a Weather API account. This account has a free tier, so it's easy to sign up and get an API key from there as well. Lastly, you'll need Node.js running on your machine. With all of this set up, we're now ready to look at the code. Git clone the repo linked in the description using the following command, and then cd into this project. Next, run npm install at the root of the project to install any dependencies listed in the package.json. In the project, you'll see that there's a .env.example file. Make a copy of the file and rename it to .env. It should contain the following environment variables. First, we'll need the application ID we generated when creating the application in the API dashboard. We'll also need the path to the private key that was generated at that time. In this example, I added my private key to the root of the folder. Next, we need our API key, API secret, and signature secret from the Vonage dashboard, as well as our RCS sender ID from the RCS agent. We can get that from the external accounts tab. We need the phone number that will receive the RCS message, as well as the port that we're going to run this code on. Let's run it on port 3000. Lastly, we need to add the Weather API key and the Gemini API key that we generated earlier. The server.js file in the source folder contains the core logic for the application. Here's a brief overview. First, we pull in any required packages. Then, we create a folder for the images we generate if one doesn't exist already. Our images will be stored in a folder called Images, which lives in the public folder. Next, the code checks to see if all the environment variables are set. If not, it stops the code from proceeding. After that, we initialize the Vonage SDK client. This object gives us permission to hit the Messages API and send the RCS message. With that out of the way, let's look at our Git endpoint that allows us to generate the image and send the message. Note that this server.js file also contains webhook endpoints that you can use for receiving a message back or checking the status of your message. We won't get into detail about those endpoints for now, but make sure you take a look at the blog post for a better understanding of how our webhooks work. Our endpoint is called sendWeatherImage and takes one query param, which is the city we want the weather for. At a high level, it has 3 simple steps when run successfully. It first generates the image, it then sends the image as an RCS message, and finally returns a success message. The asynchronous function, generateWeatherImage, takes the city as an argument. It then calls the Weather API to get details about the current weather in the city and uses that information to create a prompt to then send to Google's Imagen model. Imagen then uses that prompt to generate an image and returns that image data to us. We then save that image to the public/images folder. In the end, we return the image URL as well as the city, weather, temperature, and time back to our Git endpoint code so that it can be passed on to the next function, sendWeatherImageRCS. The sendWeatherImageRCS function is fairly straightforward. It takes all the information and the image we fed it, and then uses Vonage's SDK to generate and send an RCS message to the phone number we provided. Now all we need to do is run the server.js file by running node source/server.js. This will run the code on port 3000 as we specified. This means that in the browser, we can go to localhost 3000/sendWeatherImage and specify a city. Let's try Paris. This is what the RCS message looks like when received. We've successfully used Vonage's Messages API, as well as the Weather API and Google AI to send an innovative and interactive RCS message. Let us know if you thought of any other creative ways to use these APIs. For more tutorials on Vonage's Messages API, as well as any of our other APIs and supported programming languages, subscribe to this YouTube channel, join our Slack community, and check out our blog at developer.vonage.com.